A very good evening to everyone who have logged in on today's session. As you all know, we are currently in the 6th week of the ATL Tinkerpreneur Bootcamp series. And today's session is a very interesting session for our young innovators. Today's session is on building human-centered products. And we have Mr. Amya Kale joining us today. Mr. Amya has worked on establishing ventures and building products by applying principles of human-centered design. He comes from the startup ecosystem and had started his own venture, Ghar Ka Khana, back in 2017. He was selected as one of the entrepreneurs at Asia Pacific Innovation Academy's Innovation Accelerator Camp at Beijing in 2019 and is closely associated with Upgrad as a design thinking expert. He is currently working in the intelligent document automation industry at Infert. On behalf of Atal Innovation Mission team, I welcome Mr. Amya for today's session. Amya, over to you.
Thank you so much, Naba, for giving this introduction, and thank you so much for inviting me on this platform. Um Atal Innovation Mission is doing a really great job in terms of giving the students chance to explore and diverge in many different domains. I remember my childhood when I was in school, and the curiosity comes natural to us, and having the right set of tools to capture that knowledge, which are actually apart from the curriculum, it's a great thing. And I believe this is just to inform every student that this generation is really fortunate to have the access to all the information, and let's have this objective to create an impact in the lives of millions of people in our country or even in the world. So with that objective, I would like to start this session. Is my screen visible?
Yes, it is visible.
Okay. So the topic for today is building human-centered products, right? So before diving deep into that, let's try to understand what do you mean by a product, right? So if you just imagine and try to recollect our entire routine right from the time we wake up, the things that are around us, I believe first thing that we do is brush our teeth, the brush, toothpaste, the mirror in which we are looking. After that, all the products. In fact, this shirt, these spectacles. Uh, in fact, the place from where I purchased these spectacles, probably Lenscard, it's also their app is a product. So everything that users and consumers actually consume and use can be categorized as a product, right? And the next part of this definition is human centered. So what do you guys think? What is human centered design? uh, there are a lot of definitions of this particular terminology, and before moving there, we'll quickly see one example. So I want to keep this entire session interactive. It's not a lecture. So please do participate. So for this particular slide, I want you to answer what do you think, and have you seen such kind of bottle anywhere? And where have you seen this? So you can put it in the comments. I believe you must have seen such kind of bottle somewhere. So if you could just mention the place where you have seen it, or if you haven't, then also you can simply comment that you haven't. So most of the times, either you can see this in some grocery store, or majority of the times when you are visiting any restaurant, it's placed there, right? So try to imagine how do you feel when you are trying to get some water from this bottle, if you're seeing this for the first time, or if not you, your friends or your parents. Do you feel comfortable opening this, or you are struggling and you are taking some help from the waiter or from someone else? Right, majority of you are saying, yeah, you see it
We
in
have a
restaurant.
couple of students who are responding that they have seen this in hotels and restaurants.
Correct. So my next question, whenever we see such kind of bottle, and so let's try to think, why do we need water? Because we are thirsty at that time. Okay, so you see this bottle, and are you comfortable opening this, or you take some efforts understanding how to exactly open this bottle? Right. Radhika is saying the both the bottle can't be open, right? So the design itself is giving an impression that it cannot be opened. But it is seen in majority of the restaurants, right? So let's try to think how what we basically are in the entire restaurant phase. So we are thirsty and we really want that water, and when we grab that bottle, we are struggling how to open it, right? Is it a good experience? Definitely not. So the product is, whenever any product designer is thinking about making such kind of product, right? You might have thought about the overall aesthetics of this bottle. It has to be transparent. These are some of the attributes. But the basic thing that we must consider in terms of developing any product is that, will the end user actually understand how to use this product? And if someone needs some help to just use this product, then is it a really good and human centric product? So, what is human centered design? It's a creative approach to problem solving. So, considering this particular case, the problem is you want the user to access water bottle without anybody's efforts or anybody's help. So, human centered design is all about building a deep empathy with the people you are designing for, generating tons of ideas, building a bunch of prototypes, sharing what you have made with the people you are designing for, and eventually putting your innovative new solution out in the world. Seems theoretic, right? uh, but let's again try to see the highlighted words. बिल्डिंग अ डीप एम्पैथी विद द पीपल, इसका मतलब क्या है? कि जिन लोगों के लिए हम ये पर्टिकुलर बॉटल बना रहे हैं, क्या हम सोच रहे हैं कि ये जो लोग हैं वो कैसे उसका इस्तेमाल करते हैं? Second type, generating tons of ideas. Now the problem that we are discussing here is, can people access this water bottle without anyone's help? तो उसके लिए हम क्या और सोच सकते हैं? क्या-क्या एट्रिब्यूट्स हम वो बॉटल डिज़ाइन करने के लिए यूज़ कर सकते हैं? तो द फर्स्ट थिंग इज़ इट इट हैज़ टू बी हैंडी, राइट? कभी-कभी ऐसा भी होता है कि कुछ रेस्टोरेंट्स में हम जब जाते हैं तो उसका वेट काफ़ी ज़्यादा होता है। तो ऑल्सो व्हेन वी आर एक्चुअली पोरिंग दैट वाटर इन अ ग्लास, कभी-कभी वो गिर जाता है कहीं और। सो अगेन दैट्स नॉट अ गुड एक्सपीरियंस, राइट? हम होटल या किसी रेस्टोरेंट में जब जाते हैं, तब हम हमारे फैमिली मेंबर्स के साथ रहते हैं, हमारे फ्रेंड्स के साथ रहते हैं, एंड वी मोस्ट ऑफ द टाइम्स गो देयर टू सेलिब्रेट समथिंग, वी आर इन अ गुड मूड, और द फर्स्ट थिंग दैट यू एक्चुअली एक्सपीरियंस देयर इज गेटिंग वाटर। अब वहां पे अगर कुछ थोड़ी सी ग्लिच हुई, तो probably it won't be the same great experience, right? So while generating those tons of ideas, you should diverge a lot with respect to building prototypes. प्रोटोटाइप्स मतलब क्या, कि तुम जो कुछ भी इंसाइट्स यूजर से हमें मिलते हैं कि क्या प्रॉब्लम्स हैं, इन उन सभी चीज़ों के हिसाब से हम कुछ बेसिक प्रोटोटाइप बनाते हैं कि एक बॉटल प्लास्टिक की रह सकती है, एक बॉटल कांच की रह सकती है, कुछ अलग मटेरियल की रह सकती है, एक ट्रांसपेरेंट रह सकती है, सम बॉटल माइट बी कलरफुल, एंड दीज आर द सम प्रोटोटाइप्स दैट यू कैन थिंक ऑफ, एंड शेयरिंग व्हाट यू हैव मेड विद द पीपल यू आर डिजाइनिंग फॉर। इसका मतलब ये हुआ कि जिन लोगों के लिए तुम ये चीज बना रहे हो, यू शुड गो इन द मार्केट एंड ट्राई टू शो ऑल द प्रोटोटाइप्स, राइट? व्हाट जनरली वी डू, कि हमें एक कुछ ब्रिलियंट सा आइडिया लगता है, एंड वी जस्ट कम अप विद द सॉल्यूशन, एंड देन वी सिंपली shoot that and just try to convince our customers that this is a great product. But are we taking any feedback from them? That's the question. And once you have that feedback from your end users, you eventually put that innovative solution in the world. Okay, so in this entire session, we'll be talking about some definitions and too many examples and case studies where I will require your help. So what is human-centered design? It is divided into three phases. फर्स्ट फेज इज इंस्पिरेशन, जो हमारे अभी बॉटल के एग्जाम्पल में था कि किसी रेस्टोरेंट में अगर कोई लोग पानी का इस्तेमाल कर रहे हैं, if they need water, then how exactly are they handling that bottle? This particular observation will fall under the inspiration phase, where you should diverge a lot. हमें ये सोचना है कि उस पानी की बॉटल का इस्तेमाल वो कैसे कर सकते हैं, व्हाई डू दे एक्चुअली नीड दिस पर्टिकुलर ऑब्जेक्ट। उस बारे में हम जितना ज्यादा सोच सकते हैं वो सोच सकते हैं। आफ्टर दैट वी कम टू द आइडिएशन फेज, where you'll make sense of everything that you have heard from your end users, generate a lot of different ideas, and identify some opportunities to design, as we were mentioning about the prototyping, right? So this is the phase where you are actually defining ki exactly problem kya hai. Do they feel ki the design of the bottle is tough, or what exactly do they need when they are actually interacting with that bottle? And the last stage is called as implementation. जब हमें हमारे यूजर्स का जो फीडबैक आता है, उस उसके बाद जो 5 से 6 हमारे हमारे अगर कुछ प्रोटोटाइप्स रेडी हैं, उनमें से वी शॉट डाउन एंड देन वी इम्प्लीमेंट दैट एज अ सिंगल solution. So these are the three different phases which human centered design comprises of. Now, there is this quote by IDEO. IDEO is an organization which actually pioneered this term called human centered design. When you understand the people you are trying to reach and then design from their perspective, not only will you arrive at unexpected answers, but you will come up with the ideas that they will embrace. Okay, so we'll come back to this statement after going through this really interesting story. So, since last 1 year, I believe I have seen a lot of pictures and stories on Instagram, Facebook, about a lot of different people making cakes at home, right? So, I just want you to comment in the chat. Have you helped your parents or your siblings during last 1 year making cakes? Yes, someone is saying yes. Or even you must have tried making it by yourself, correct? Amazing. So you remember that process, right? You have some ingredients and you then put together, you wait for some time. And that's the entire process of making a cake. So back in 1950s, uh, there was this company called General Mills. Before that, they introduced one product, but before that, housewives used to prepare such cakes on some occasions. Now it used to take really good amount of time and number of hours, or sometimes even a day, to make this delicious cake. So it was a problematic, right? You are spending your entire day to make one simple and delicious thing. So what this particular company called General Mills, they come up with really revolutionary product. They came up with this instant mix, with the help of which anybody who wants to make and prepare this cake can simply order this. They can purchase this particular instant mix, and everything was mentioned on the product. So you simply need to mix certain things, and the cake was ready within hours. It was a brilliant product. It was actually solving the problem of convenience. And in fact, the taste of the cake was better than the way it used to be prepared initially, right? So it was a great product. It was solving all the problems, but still it failed. Women who actually used to prepare these cakes didn't buy this product. Can you think what is the reason? Why do you think it failed? You can put this in comments. It can be anything. So right now, again, we are diverging. Let's try to think and come up with some reasons. Why do you think, despite of being a great product, solving all the problems, it failed? Okay, Risha is saying high price. Yes, might be. Good, good. Can there be another reason? Cost is definitely a good point, and some people do not purchase product because it's costly. That's a really valid point. Poor design, good, could be. Um, Quality also might be a problem, correct? Yes, good quality, correct.
Someone is also saying that sticking to traditional methods. This could also be a
Interesting. Yes, that's a really good insight. Sticking to traditional methods, right? It was artificial. Okay, interesting. So yes, to summarize, these might have been some of the reasons, but the product was placed at a really good price point. The quality was in fact better than what it used to be before. But the problem here was guilt. When those housewives actually purchased this product and when they made this delicious cake, they gave it to their family members, their guests, and they really liked that. Okay. But they were aware of the fact that they didn't prepare it for n number of hours, like 12, 13 hours. It was they could make it within just couple of hours, and there was one equation in their minds that if I put a lot of efforts in making something, uh, uh, at least in this case it was cake, then that relates to the love and affection that I have for my family. सो अगर मैं सिर्फ कोई चीज आधे घंटे में मैं कर पा रहा हूँ, राइट, तो मुझे उन्हें ऐसा लगता था कि उसमें मेरी इतनी इन्वॉल्वमेंट नहीं है. सो दे फेल्ट दे वर डिसीविंग देयर फैमिली मेंबर्स. उन्हें लग रहा था कि हम हमारे फैमिली मेंबर्स को धोखा दे रहे हैं, हम कुछ आइडियली जैसा बनाना चाहिए वैसे नहीं कर रहे हैं, राइट. सो अगर हम हमारे भी घर में अगर ऐसा कुछ अगर एग्जांपल आया, राइट, जिसमें छोले भटूरे हमें हमें बनाने हैं और इट टेक्स सम टाइम टू प्रिपेयर इट, और हमने अगर जाके हमारी मॉम को कहा कि ये देखो मेरे पास कुछ तो है जिससे 2 मिनट में छोले भटूरे बन जाएंगे, she sometimes she won't like it because there is this love and affection जिसके साथ हम कुछ चीज बनाते हैं. अगर वो पार्ट मिसिंग रहा तो probably we may not purchase that product. They felt guilty about getting more credit than they deserved. सो उनकी तारीफ जो हो रही थी वो उन्हें डाइजेस्ट नहीं हो रही थी. उन्हें लग रहा था कि हमारी तारीफ कुछ ज्यादा ही आप कर रहे हैं और हमने उतने एफर्ट्स तो डाले ही नहीं है, right? So because of these reasons they felt guilty, and then they didn't buy that product, and that was the reason why this particular product failed. So after that, what did General Mills guys do? They came up with another variant of the product, and in that product they added few hurdles. तो जो पहला प्रोडक्ट था जिसमें काफी अच्छे से एंड विद इन 1 आवर अगर तुम्हारा केक बन जाता था, तो इस प्रोडक्ट में दे एडेड फ्यू हर्डल्स. जिस पहले प्रोडक्ट में था कि इंस्टेंट एग एग मिक्स करके उस पाउडर कुछ तो थी. इस प्रोडक्ट में दे मेक श्योर दैट द वुमन शुड एक्चुअली ऐड द ओरिजिनल एग, और ऐसे कुछ कुछ इंग्रेडिएंट्स ऐसे थे, तो दे मेड श्योर to add those hurdles which made the entire process lengthy. तो जिस प्रोसेस को 1 घंटा लगता था उस प्रोसेस को अभी 3.5 4 या 5 घंटे लगने लगे, which gave the women the feeling that they are actually doing something for their family, and the product is also great. So are you getting one insight here? Despite of having a great product with great features, if you do not consider where we have mentioned here, if you do not understand what the people of or the user of your product want, you may not land up where you actually want. And if you are trying to reach and then design from their perspective, not only will you arrive at unexpected answers, right? So इस केस में unexpected answer क्या था? We were thinking कि quality might not be the good, cost might be the affecting factor. But because we actually went and, as in the General Mill guys, they went and interviewed with a lot of people, they realized that, okay, this is not the reason for them not purchasing, it's their psychology. It's because they do not feel connected, and in fact, they're feeling guilty. So let's jump to the next thing. Human-centered design is a framework that develops solution by first observing user behavior. हमारे जो एंड यूजर्स हैं वो एग्जैक्टली उस प्रोडक्ट को इस्तेमाल कैसे कर रहे हैं. दैट इज द फर्स्ट थिंग विच अगेन विल कवर इन द नेक्स्ट फ्यू एग्जांपल्स and putting yourself in the situation of the end user. All right, so just try to listen to these concepts right now. We'll go in depth by checking all the examples in the next slides. Toothbrush for kids. This was again one of the really great case studies. So this is the general toothbrush that adults use, right? Adults, as in even someone after, I guess, third, fourth standard, or even like after 7, 8 years, this is the toothbrush that generally people use. And how do we hold this toothbrush? Can you think of? We generally do it, use our two fingers, right? This is how we hold this toothbrush, correct? Uh, but when we are talking about toothbrush for kids, do you think they will also hold this particular toothbrush like this only, or do they hold it in a different way? So it's the same particular product that we are designing, right? It's a toothbrush, but if I'm making it for adults and if I'm making it for kids, the one important factor that we need to consider here is that how exactly those two users are holding that toothbrush. If I'm using my only two fingers and my fist to use it, then this design might be the good fit. But if they are not using it like that, and most of the cases, kids use their entire fist. This is how they generally grab that toothbrush. And now, if you are grabbing it like this particular design is little thin. So what did the toothbrush manufacturer they did? They came up with such a design. Right now, what do you think? What is the difference between these two designs? You can again put it in the comments. Correct. Ramakrishna is saying they hold it in a different way. That's the correct answer. So, what do you think is the difference between these two products? So this part at the bottom is not this that much thin, correct? Uh, Also, if you see, this particular design is little colorful. It has some character. Someone is smiling at them. It also has two legs, which gives a feeling of something which is interactive, a character probably, right? So again, if we go back to this particular framework, which says uh, you should be observing the user behavior, जो इस केस में हमारे users थे kids. तो behavior हमने क्या observe किया? That they hold this particular toothbrush in a different way. In which way? They use their entire fist. हाथ में ऐसे पकड़ते हैं. And now putting yourself in the situation of the end user. तो अगर मैंने सिर्फ जो डिजाइन है उसमें से इफ आई जस्ट इंक्रीज दिस will I like it? No. Kids love vibrant colors, they love some different characters. So that's why if you put yourself in user shoes, you can actually understand what they really like. There are a few more examples. So again, there is this quote which says products that are difficult to use or understand are the result of faulty design and not stupid users. तो कभी कभी ऐसा होता है ना कि हम कुछ प्रोडक्ट यूज करते हैं और काफी टाइम जाता है हमें वो समझने के लिए, और जब भी कभी हम उस प्रोडक्ट के साथ इंटरेक्ट करते हैं तो हम कुछ ना कुछ गलतियां कर देते हैं. सो डू यू गाइस कैन यू थिंक ऑफ सच प्रोडक्ट्स कि जो कभी कभी हमें और हमेशा इनफैक्ट यूज करते वक्त एक दो बार सोचना पड़ता है? And these are all products which I'm going to show you in the next few slides. We interact with majority of them on a daily basis, right? तो एक बार फिर से सोचते हैं कि सुबह उठने के बाद से लेके रात सोते तक ऐसे कौन से प्रोडक्ट्स हैं कि जो हम यूज करते वक्त एक दो बार सोचते हैं. ये हमें समझ में नहीं आता फर्स्ट टाइम जब इंटरैक्ट करते हैं. There are a lot, and this must be one of the widely used products, right? The TV remote. अभी मेरे हिसाब से काफी बेटर रिमोट्स आ रहे हैं, बट आई स्टिल रिमेम्बर जब भी कभी मुझे कोई बताता था कि अरे वॉल्यूम कम कर, या कुछ इंटरेस्टिंग मैच चल रहा है, मुझे वॉल्यूम जब इंक्रीज करना है उस पर्टिकुलर सिचुएशन में, समवन एट माय हाउस, मोस्टली माय पेरेंट्स, कुड एंड अप चेंजिंग द चैनल, राइट? एंड दिस माय मस्ट हैव हैपेंड विथ यू टू, राइट? कि इतने सारे बटन्स है, 1 से लेके 0 तक, एंड जो नीचे इसमें जो कुछ भी फंक्शंस है, इतने सारे कलरफुल बटन्स, डू वी एक्चुअली यूज दोज? What are the primary things or primary buttons that we generally use on any remote control device? First must be increasing or reducing the volume. Second must be changing the channel, or sometimes navigating from one channel to other, right? So even though your product is giving brilliant connections, so probably यहाँ से तुम DVD पे जा सकते हो, या कहीं और भी जा सकते हो, किसी और डिवाइस को एक्सेस कर सकते हो, but it is at the end making me confused, and I'm not still sure what to do when I want to change the channel. I still figure out, okay, this arrow must be for changing the channel, correct? So what could be a good design? OnePlus has introduced this remote, and in the recent couple of years, if you see, there are remotes having really minimal buttons which help you to take that decision very faster, correct? Who likes the ketchup? Is the next slide, which talks about this ketchup. So have you seen such kind of bottles? In my case, I remember, and okay, let's try to first figure out, do you see any problem in this bottle or with this ketchup? There are a lot of items, I believe, paratha hua, sandwich hua, pizza, and too many other items with which you actually enjoy having the ketchup, right? So do you think there is any issue with this bottle? Yes, Aisha is saying it's hard to serve, correct? True, right? So despite of having the great taste, okay, so this must be made from one of the finest tomatoes in the world, and the taste of the this ketchup must be brilliant, uh, without any other competition. But when you are actually using this product and this ketchup, you have to first make sure कि यार ये bottle टूटे ना, क्योंकि because of this round surface, I myself have broken at least two of these bottles at my place, and उसके बाद काफी मुझे सुनना पड़ा था. तो फर्स्ट थिंग माइट बी कि ये बॉटल मेरे हाथ से टूट जाएगी, एंड द सेकेंड मोस्ट अनोइंग थिंग कि हमें वेट करना पड़ता है. You just need to tilt that bottle and wait for that ketchup to come down. And so again, despite of having the great product, it wasn't user friendly. जब मैं वो प्रोडक्ट यूज कर रहा हूँ, तब I'm not enjoying it. In fact, I'm worried about certain facts while using this product. So what could be the solution? This is something which you generally see these days on different stores, or when you go to DMart or somewhere else, or even buying something. Like these are generally the shapes of the new ketchup bottles. So if you see the biggest difference, right, the first is the shape, right? If you could see this particular bottle, it gives you a strong grip. Now, the problem was I was afraid of breaking this bottle. But with this design, it's quite evident that because it's also kept in a plastic bottle, I won't be able to break it. And the second is I'm sure that it won't fall because of its design. Second thing, as it is now inverted, I won't have to wait for the ketchup to come outside. Correct? So the second example which we are seeing, the product is amazing, but when we are interacting with that product, we are not getting the same experience that we actually want. This is, I call it as dumb door, and then that phrase came out to be as a Dumbledore. Uh, so let's talk about this example as well, right? Whenever we visit any store, uh, due to lockdown now, we are not allowed to go outside a lot and visit malls. But do you remember such doors where you always get confused about whether it needs to be pushed or pulled? Correct. So can anyone tell me what is the problem with this particular design? So most of us spend at least a couple of seconds whenever we try to push or pull this door. And one of the biggest challenges here is that if you want to push the door, why do you need a handle? And it is said that when you see a handle, your brain says that you need to pull it. Correct? So what could be the solution for this problem? You simply remove the handle when you are saying it needs to be pushed. So if there is no handle, then eventually you don't have any trigger point which can lead you to that confusion. So if there is a pull sign on the door, keep the handle. If it's a push, then don't keep the handle, so that your end user will not have any other option for more confusion. Correct? Yeah, this is also one of the biggest and widely popular examples. Uh,
Hi.
yeah, hello.
Yeah. There was, I think, some issue.
Yes, there is a power cut at my end, but I hope this
Okay.
is now I'm audible and visible as well.
Yes, yes, yes. Perfect.
Perfect. So this is also one of the widely popular example. If you could see on the left side image, the parents of that baby have bought one toy for the kid, and they just loved it. Right, the toy is really beautiful, and they liked it. The product is amazing. But now, if you see from the user's point of view, right, from the baby's point of view, the baby cannot differentiate whether it's an elephant, it's a pig, it's a tiger, or even it's a fox, because he sees the same things from his perspective. Correct? So, despite of having, again, really good product, which the customers, which means the people who purchase that product, they liked it, but unfortunately, the user who is actually going to consume this product is not liking it. In fact, the user doesn't even know what that product is all about. Correct? So, again, going back to our original definition, you have to put yourself in the user's shoes to see how that product actually interacts with you. There is one more thing that generally human-centered design talks about, and which is consider the human psychology. So what exactly does it mean? Psychology मतलब हमारे जो users हैं उनकी मानसिकता हमने समझनी चाहिए. तो exactly वो क्या होता है? तो we'll take one really good example. Imagine you have ordered a new phone, और Amazon, Flipkart या कहीं से आपने वो ऑर्डर किया है, एंड यू गेट अ मैसेज दैट इट इज गोइंग टू गेट डिलीवर्ड टुमारो. तो कल का पूरा दिन आप काफ़ी एक्साइटमेंट में रहते हो कि आज फ़ोन आने वाला है मेरा. Or then at somewhere around 4:30 p.m. Doorbell rings. The delivery guy is outside your door. You open the door, you get it, and you try to open this. Now, let's not consider the COVID situation here, because in COVID you have to keep it aside for some time. But in the normal scenario, you just try to open this box, and now you're trying to unbox and see your phone. Now, imagine that there is this new phone in your hand, and there is a message, or it says you cannot actually switch it on because it's written on the box that you have to charge this phone for 2 hours to just switch it on. Will you like this experience? You have the, again, great product in your hand, but you have to wait for 2 more hours. You can put this in comments. Would you prefer such kind of experience? And currently this doesn't happen, but before a decade, whenever you used to receive any electronic gadget, and most of the times your phones, you had to first find the charger, and then at least charge that device for 1 or 2 hours and then use it. So when we are talking about human psychology here, right, we were, whenever any company which used to ship that product, were only focusing on the fact that the quality of the product has to be great. But when the user is actually receiving it, he is very excited. The excitement level is almost 100%. And after that, if you're telling that user to go and charge this and then use it for after 2 hours, that excitement level will never reach to that 100%, and there will be a small glitch in terms of receiving some positive vibes from that product. So that's when uh, that's when Apple came up with this brilliant idea that whichever product that we are shipping, it must be charged, and whenever any user is trying to unbox it, he should be able to simply switch it on and experience that product. So that's what covers about why we should consider human psychology. लोगों की मानसिकता हमें क्यों देखनी चाहिए, ये काफी important होता है. So let's try to summarize again with whatever we learned here. So these are nothing but the principles of human-centered design. Great design is based on observing real humans, correct? तो जो हम examples देख रहे थे अभी तक, जिसमें से there were few bad examples and there were some opposite examples which were really considered as great designs. And the basic thing is because people observe the real humans. जो हमने केक का example देखा, great product, but they couldn't observe what their end user were actually thinking. And जब उन्होंने वो observe किया, तो उन्हें समझा कि ये कुछ अलग तरीके से शायद उनकी नीड है. Then create endless possibilities to choose from, which again connects with the previous slides where we were talking about diverging, right, and coming up with a lot of different prototypes. So creating endless possibilities to choose from gives you different directions for solving the same problem, correct? Great design comes from desire to create real outcomes. सो कुछ कुछ हमने ऐसे प्रोडक्ट्स देखे होते हैं, राइट, कि जो सिर्फ दिखने के लिए अच्छे होते हैं बट उसका यूज कुछ नहीं होता. तो फिर ऐसे प्रोडक्ट्स बना के भी जो काफी अच्छे दिखते हैं पर इसका यूज ही कुछ नहीं है, will that actually help the end user is something that we all should think about. And the last and very important factor here is great design is iterative. Iterative means आप अगर कोई प्रॉब्लम के साथ आगे जा रहे हो एंड आपको एक कुछ सॉल्यूशन मिला, तो यू शुड नॉट स्टॉप देयर. You should again go back in the market, test it, and have that loop iterative, which means you come up with a solution, you go in the market, you see whether people are liking it or not. If they are liking it, what they are actually liking, and if they are not, then also focus on that and come up with the feedback and start working on that product again. So every great product is actually uh, some kind of a solution which has this iterative process. I'm sure you must have seen this in a lot of different shops. You can answer in the comments. What do you think is the problem here? And we'll cover how exactly the iteration is all about. let's also try to think when we actually visit this store and try to make the payment, all are the users here? Now, I'm just hope I'm audible and visible, right?
Yes, yes. Actually, kids are commenting
Okay, perfect.
yes in the chat.
Okay, okay.
QR code is required for payment. Ambika is saying.
Okay, exactly. QR code is required for payment. And if you see, there are trying to see who are the users. One is the person who is actually making the payment, and the shopkeeper, who is actually receiving the payment, right? So these might be the primary users in this transaction. So when we see the and try to again observe this, what exactly do we do when we make the payment? हम उस शॉप में जाते हैं, we purchase something, and then we scan the QR code after asking what is the entire total. Let's say it's 90 rupees. तो 90 रुपीज पे होने के बाद हम उस शॉपकीपर अंकल को पूछते हैं कि भैया पैसे मिले क्या, राइट? एंड व्हाट डज दैट पर्सन डू? ही गोज एंड फाइंड्स हिज फोन, या ही टेल्स समवन कि अरे एक बार देख लो पैसे मिले क्या. देन वो फोन में देख लेते हैं कि कुछ एसएमएस या नोटिफिकेशन आया होगा क्या नहीं, जिसमें तकरीबन 5-10 सेकंड चले जाते हैं. एंड देन दैट पर्सन गिव्स यू अ कंफर्मेशन, राइट, कि हाँ पैसे मिले हैं, ओके. Now, this particular solution of making the payment via just scanning a QR code is a great solution to have to the problem which has cash involved. Rather than giving cash, QR code up scan karo, and again, it's a really smooth process. But this entire process might also have some glitches. And the one glitch that Paytm team identified was this, which has this two-way interaction. And confirmation के लिए हमें 5-6 सेकंड रुकना पड़ता है. So is it needed? I guess it's not. And that's when this solution was placed. So have you seen such devices, audio devices, speakers at the stores? Now, when you make the payment, there is this speaker, and someone, most of the times it's lady, says ki payment of 90 rupees has been made. करेक्ट? तो वो शॉपकीपर काउंटर पे हो या कहीं और भी रहे दुकान में, तो उसको समझ में आता है कि किसी ने तो 90 रुपीज का पेमेंट जो मैंने उन्हें कहा था, उन वो पेमेंट रिसीव हुआ है. करेक्ट? सो टॉकिंग अबाउट द इटरेशन, if you see the left hand panel, it had just one particular cardboard having one QR code, which was giving some basic information. Correct? Now let's try to think क्या iterations हुए होंगे. The PTM people might have thought about some different solutions. तो एक solution रहा होगा कि एक speaker हम रख देते हैं. तो speaker उन्होंने शायद place किया होगा, and then probably the size of the speaker could have been little larger. तो feedback क्या आया होगा कि यार ये तो काफी जगह ले रहा है मेरे store में. So this must have been the feedback from shopkeeper. So the Paytm team might have gone back to their lab and again tried to make the size of the speaker a little smaller. They again went back to the store and said, okay, does this fit? The shopkeeper might have said, okay, it fits. So उसके बाद शायद एक कार्डबोर्ड रहेगा, एक स्पीकर, ये दो दो चीजें उस शॉप में थी. But after that, again, they realized, is it required to keep two different things which are communicating the uh, same information? And the answer was no. So if you could see the right hand side speaker, it also has the QR code, right? So this is the beauty of that iteration, where you go in the market, you see whether it's working or not, and you try making different prototypes of the same solution. Amul cheese, I guess you all must have used this while preparing sandwiches, pizzas, and a lot of different things. What do you think are the problems here? Or I believe not now, but before 4 to 5 years, this product had a lot of problems. Do you remember that? I remember whenever, so it was my responsibility to grate this cheese and help my mother making sandwiches. So whenever I used to pull these cheese cubes from the refrigerator and just open up this thing, at that time, most of the cheese was actually sticking to the outside layer, and it wasn't a great experience, right? So it took at least 10 to 13, 15 seconds just to remove this wrap. And it wasn't, again, even if you want to help your mom for making those sandwiches, uh, you were not happy with this bad experience. So what did our team at Amul do?
Actually, Harshini is
They
echoing
came up
your
with this.
emotion. She's also saying that
Okay.
the wrapper is a problem and the cheese and butter melts in the wrapper only.
Yes. So if you see this, uh, they have now one brilliant design where you just need to pull one side, and this particular red line, which is just next to the borders, it helps you to remove the entire wrap. All right. So the thing, as in for the same activity, it used to take at least 10 to 15 seconds. The product is same, right? Whatever inside in this layer is the same. But they worked on reducing this particular fact that people were not happy with the overall experience. And from 10 to 15 seconds, now the same job can be done within 3 to 4 seconds, right? So this is also an example of human-centered design when you actually try to see how the end users are interacting or using this product. Now, there is this interesting thing about unlocking the phone, which talks about why you should have really great observation skills. So, Apple was the first phone which came up with slide to unlock feature. All right. And currently we use all our phones with face recognition, and there is no need to actually slide. But back in 2007-8, this was a revolutionary feature. And can you think from where exactly the design team at Apple could come up with this particular revolutionary feature? So the head of Apple's design team was traveling somewhere from an airplane, and just when he went to the toilet, he saw this particular locking and unlocking system. And at that time, he didn't realize that can we use this. But when he actually came back to his desk, uh, that got triggered. He realized this, can we take some inspiration from there, from just using this lock to lock or unlock, and put this in our phone, right? And because he had that great observation skills, and along with that, he could apply those observations in the product that they were supposed to build. And then that was actually the origin of slide to unlock feature. This one small observation from somewhere something else, right? So he was not in a meeting and discussing about this problem with his colleagues. He was simply traveling, he saw something, and that inspired that let's make some feature out of it. There is also one interesting case study about MRI centers for kids. So have you seen such kind of devices in hospitals? So this particular device was made by General Electric, GE, and again the product was amazing. In fact, they got an award for the best design for this particular product. And the design head who actually made this was just outside a clinic or outside the hospital, and he was just trying to interact with the technician about the product. And what happened? He saw a family coming inside the hospital, and the kid, who was probably 10 or 12 years old, was really hesitant to go inside. He was afraid because this particular machine, when you go inside, there are a lot of noises. Uh, so eventually, it's not the great experience, correct? So that intrigued, and because of that particular moment, he realized kids are not liking it, and in fact, काफी बार जो बच्चे रहते थे उनको एनेस्थीसिया दिया जाता था जिसकी वजह से वो साइलेंटली अंदर जाए then the doctors could actually understand uh, the facts about this, and then that triggered this particular user and the head who actually made this particular product. Ki this is not good, right? We are making a great product, but if the kids who are patients are actually not uh, enjoying this experience, or in fact they are afraid, plus उन्हें anesthesia दिया जा रहा होगा, तो there is something lacking here. So what they did, they made a theme park kind of thing at the same MRI. If you could see, uh, they made a story of pirates, and they, whenever any kid now used to go inside this machine, the technician always used to tell the kid that you are going on a mission. Okay, and it may take 10, 15, or even 30 minutes, but you have to be strong because it's an adventurous trip. There might be some sounds, but those sounds are from ocean, but you are a great or you are brave enough to face it. So once you actually come out of this particular machine, you will get a treasure and a gift. So that's how they redefine and basically change the overall experience. And after having this kind of implementation, one of the greatest insights that the design head got was he was again waiting outside the clinic on some day, and the kid who was actually inside this MRI center, she came back and she told her mother that, Mom, I want to come here back tomorrow. Right? So that was the biggest transition, and I believe that was a success. Ki the end user who were afraid of getting inside were actually now wanting to come here back, and that's the beauty of design, and that's the beauty of the fact that if you could relate yourself with your end user, you can create something amazing. So what should you do now? Right? So this was all about some use cases, some theoretical knowledge about how you can build a human-centered design. So what you can, excuse me, what you can do now is, let's try taking a note of your entire daily routine, right from the time you wake up to the time you sleep. Try to take that routine and let's go in depth, right? Agar tum 7:30 ko, if you are waking up, do you like that experience? Are you fresh or you are lazy? uh, do you require an alarm or you wake up by yourself? Right, try to ask as many questions for each and every activity that you're doing. As I mentioned, try to observe whether you are enjoying that feeling or not. Let's say an example of waking up in the morning. Are you fresh? Are you enjoying that process? Or you are dull and you always say that I'll wake up after 5 minutes या 15 मिनट बाद मुझे उठाओ, ऐसा आप कहते हो. ये questions पूछ के also try to understand why do you feel in that way, and then eventually you will end up knowing some reasons, and you can redesign and redefine that entire process. Do you see any glitch in any process, right? And ask questions. That's what I was talking about. Is glitch means, are you happy with that entire process? या सुबह उठने की ही अगर हमने एग्जांपल लिया, तो do you think it's not great? Or let's talk about some other examples of joining any lecture or going to a school, right? So probably after a few months, we may start having regular schools, not in this year, but probably in the next year. So how will that experience look like? And during that entire process, will you enjoy it? Correct? So try to think about different glitches and ask yourself multiple questions, because in this entire process, you are the user. So here you do not have to put yourself in another user's shoes. Once you do that, we will jump on this exercise, which talks about redesigning breakfast or lunch preparation experience for your parent. So most of the times, whenever our parent is actually cooking something, the one prominent question that they have is आज lunch के लिए क्या बनाऊं, आज dinner के लिए क्या बनाऊं, और उसके अलावा भी कुछ काफी ज्यादा issues या problems होते रहेंगे. So, but when we are actually eating that food at any random time, we don't consider the entire process that is there behind cooking something. So when we are talking about preparation experience, there are again two users here, or there might be a few more users. One who is actually preparing this food, you will have to ask them कि आप क्या सोचते हो जब खाना बना रहे हो, आपको क्या क्या चीज़ें लगती है. तो अगर मुझे आज लेट्स से गोभी की सब्जी बनानी है, तो उसके पीछे क्या थॉट होता है, आज गोभी की सब्जी ही क्यों, ये डिसीजन आप क्यों लेते हो. अ, उसके अलावा भी अगर कोई सब्जी हो सकती है, वो क्यों नहीं हम बनाते. इस तरीके से कई क्वेश्चंस आप पूछ सकते हो, एंड ट्राई टू फाइंड आउट इफ देर आर एनी ग्लिचेस इन दिस प्रोसेस, एंड with that information you can actually prepare a great solution for all the problems that your parent face while creating a breakfast, lunch or dinner. So that's it from my end. If you have any questions, you can drop in comments, and you can also reach out to me in the uh, on given email ID.
Thank you so much, Amya, for such an engaging and interesting session. Before we close the session, I would also want you to address our students, and from your end, do you have any advice or suggestions for the students who are currently undergoing the Tinkerpreneur Bootcamp and the products that they are building, because they are all at home and they do not have access to their ATL labs? So any piece of advice or suggestions for our young audience?
Yes. So, whatever you are building, as I mentioned earlier, try to contact someone for whom you are actually making this. Let's say you are building a bot, or some different application, or it could be anything, right? But at the end, this will be used by someone, right? Be it a teacher, student, or someone else in the entire stakeholders list that we call. So make sure that you contact them and explain what you are building, and try to take their feedback. उन्हें कैसा लग रहा है ये आइडिया, उससे आपको डेफिनेटली कुछ ना कुछ अच्छी चीज़ें एंड अच्छे इंसाइट्स मिलेंगे. और ये सब करने के लिए हमें फिजिकली जाने की ज़रूरत तो नहीं है, एक सिंपल कॉल करके भी हमें उनके साथ बात हो सकती है. सो एज वी वर टॉकिंग, अ प्रोडक्ट विल मे हैव सम ब्रिलियंट फीचर्स, काफ़ी प्रॉब्लम्स वो सॉल्व कर सकता है, बट एट द एंड हमारे जो एंड यूजर्स हैं उन्हें वो कैसा लगता है, वो काफ़ी इंपॉर्टेंट है. सो ट्राई टू टेक देयर फीडबैक.
Yes, definitely. Thank you so much. And actually, the examples were quite relatable and relevant to all of us that you had used during the session. Thank you so much for joining us today. On behalf of the whole AIM team, I thank you once again. To the ATL students, teachers, and mentors, I invite all of you for another exciting session of the ATL Tinkerpreneur series tomorrow at 4 p.m. Don't forget to log in. And thank you so much for joining.
Thank you so much for inviting.